Dear students, welcome back. Today we're going to start a new topic. It's going to be about transformations. It's going to be our last topic for this term. In this lesson, our objective is going to be to learn which are the different types of transformations. So we're going to learn which are the different types of transformations. And we're also going to learn how to reflect a shape with the x and y axis. So that's what we're going to focus on in this lesson. Okay, so let's start immediately by explaining which are the different types of transformations. So different types of transformations. So there are four different types of transformations, which are the following. Number one, we have reflections. Number two, we have rotations. Number three, there is translations. And number four, there is enlargements. There are more transformations, but these are the four transformations on which we are going to focus. So reflections, rotations, translations, and enlargements. Okay? Now, there are going to be a number of lessons on each one of them. We're going to start with reflections. I'm going to say which are the different types of reflections and also on which I'm going to focus today. So I'm going to start by explaining which are the different types of reflections. So mainly, when we talk about reflections, we have the following. First of all, a reflection always shows symmetry. When a shape is reflected, there is always a line of symmetry. For example, if I have, for example, the following shape, that shape has one line of symmetry. So we can say that this side has been reflected by this line of symmetry. And we say that if this is part A, this is part B. Part B is a reflection of part A along the line of symmetry. Now, when we're going to be doing reflections, there are some lines of symmetry which are fixed, which are standard, and which we're going to use to do our reflections. So, our reflections are going to be done. So, we're going to reflect shapes. About the following lines. About number one, the x or y axis. You all know what are the x and y axis. I'm going to explain within minutes. Number two, we're going to reflect shapes about the lines y equals x and y equals minus x. That's slightly more difficult. And number three, we're going to be reflecting shapes about any horizontal or vertical line. Horizontal lines are going to be in the form y equals a constant, while vertical lines are going to be in the form x equals a constant. Alright, so those are going to be our reflections. Today, I'm going to focus on number 1, how to reflect a shape about the x and y axis. Now, when doing transformations, there are some rules which we're going to form, and which, if you study them, it will make life much easier. Okay? We're not going to use extra papers or transparencies to do these reflections or transformations, because there is no need to. There are rules which can be obeyed, which you need to learn, and if you learn these rules, then life would be very, very, very easy. Okay, so let's start with the first one, reflecting a shape with the x or y axis. Okay, so let's suppose we have a set of coordinates and there is a shape drawn on that set of coordinates. It is our shape, so we have the y-axis, we have the x-axis, okay, and we have shape A. Now, some important facts which you need to remember always. When doing transformations, we don't do transformations on a graph paper. We do transformations on a square grid, like I have on my board. Why is that? Because transformations, they maintain size and shape. Meaning that if I decide that this is 1, then this has to be 1. If I had decided that this was 2, then this is 2. I can't have different scales on different axes. So if the x-axis has a scale of 1 box equals 1 unit, then the y-axis has to have a scale where 1 box is equal to 1 unit. And that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to say that this is 1 and this is 1. Now, let's consider shape A. Shape A, which is a triangle, has coordinates, and we're going to write its coordinates, which are, it has 3 sets of coordinates, which are 1, 1, that's the first coordinate. I have the coordinate 2, 3, 4, 5, this is 5, so this is 5, 1. Remember that coordinates are written in the form x, y, so x is first, y is second, so I have 5, 1, and I have 5, 3 because this is 3, alright, so that's 5, 3. Now what am I going to do? We're going to reflect shape A with the x-axis. So in the first one, okay, I'm going to reflect shape A in the x-axis. Now, as you can see, okay, so the x-axis is our line of symmetry, okay? The x-axis is going to be the line of symmetry. Now, if I reflect shape A with x, x is the line of symmetry, what's going to happen? It is as if that line, the x-axis, is a mirror. When you look at the mirror, if you place your hand, your right hand, to the mirror, the person in the mirror, which is yourself, your image, will place the left hand on the mirror, and so on and so forth. So what's going to happen? Areas close to the x-axis will remain close to the x-axis on the other side. So if this is the mirror, this is the object, the image will lie down here. So if this is 5, 1, my image will be here at 5 minus 1. If this is 5, 3, my image will be 5 minus 3. And if this is 1, 1, the image will be 1 minus 1. So my reflected shape, and I'm going to draw my reflected shape, is going to be as follows. And that is the reflection of A in the x-axis. So if I had to write the coordinates of this, so this was 5, minus 1, this was 5, minus 3, and this is 1, minus 1. So let's see what happened. So we have 1 minus 1, we have 5 minus 1, and we have 5 minus 3. If we compare these two, so I'm going to compare the two sets, alright? I'm going to compare. What I would notice? I would notice that the x-coordinate did not change, 1, 5, 5, 1, 5, 5. And I would also notice that the y-coordinate from positive became negative. So here I'm going to form a rule, which is a very important rule, which states the following. So reflection in the x-axis, the rule, which is formed by noticing what's happening, the rule is that you need to change the sign of the y-coordinate. Change the sign of the y-coordinate. So as you have seen, when we reflected shape A in the x-axis, the y-coordinate from positive became negative, so we have changed the sign of the y-coordinate. Now, I am going to reflect shape A, this time in the y-axis. So I'm going to reflect shape A in y-axis. Now my line of symmetry, my mirror will be the y-axis, alright? Will be the y-axis. So this y-axis is the line of symmetry. I have shape A which is going to be rotated, reflected in the y-axis. So reflection of A in the y-axis, what was on this side will come on the other side of the axis, because the y-axis is now my mirror. So it's going to have a mirror image. So let's see what's going to happen. So as we can see, the point 1, 1 is going to be one side. It's 1 from the axis, so it's going to be 1 from the axis, and I have the first coordinate. 5 boxes away, so it's 5 boxes away from the axis. So this was minus 1, this is minus 5. So it's 5 boxes away. And the other point was 5 boxes away from 3. So 5 boxes away from 3, I have that one. So now I can draw the shape, the reflection. Okay, I've got the reflection of the triangle. And as we can see now, shape A has been reflected in the y-axis. Let's check what are its coordinates. Let's check. So I have the coordinates here. It's minus 1, 1. This is minus 5, 1. This is minus 5, 3. So let's write them down. So I have minus 1, 1, minus 5, 1, and minus 5, 3. I'm going to compare again my set of coordinates with the original set of coordinates. Let's see what's happening. The x-coordinate, here it's negative. The x-coordinate shape A is positive. So as we have seen, the sign of the x-coordinate has been changed. But when we look at the y-coordinate This is 1, 1 and 3. This is 1, 1 and 3. So there is no difference at all. So as a rule, and now I'm going to write the rule, all right? As a rule, we can say that when reflecting a shape with the y-axis, the rule is that we need to change the sign, this time, of the x coordinate. We need to change the sign of the x coordinate. So, as we have seen here, if we're reflecting a shape with the x-axis, we need to change the sign of the y coordinate. If we need to reflect a shape with the y-axis, we need to change the sign of the x coordinate. Okay, so these are two very, very, very important rules. So I'm going to write them down again. So rules for reflecting a shape in the x-axis and y-axis. Repetition is never bad. So in the x-axis, first one, we need to change the sign of the y coordinate. If we're reflecting a shape in the y-axis, we need to change the sign of the x coordinate. Now, what does this mean? This means that we can do reflections without the use of square paper. So, for example, if I tell you reflect the point, reflect the following points with number 1, the x-axis, and number 2 with the y-axis. So suppose I have a set of points. The points are going to be 2, -4, -5, 2, and the point a, -b. Okay, I have 3 points there. Okay, first I'm going to reflect those points with the x-axis. Reflecting those points with the x-axis, what will happen? With the x-axis, I'm told that I need to change the sign of the y coordinate. So if this is x and this is y, I need to change the sign of the y coordinate. So the first one will become 2, 4. The second one will become -5, -2. And the third one will become a, b. Same thing for the second one. If I need to reflect my shape in the y-axis, the rule tells me I need to change the sign of the x coordinate. So I'm going to change the sign of the x coordinate. So the first one will become -2, -4. The second one will become 5, 2. And the third one will become -a, -b. As you have seen, I've done that. So if you do that before drawing, then you can go and draw your shape. I'm going to do another example where we're going to draw the shape, and I'm going to first use the rule, then draw, and that's automatic, okay? So let's find an example. The quadrilateral A, B, C, D has coordinates A -2, 2, B -2, 4, C -4, 5, and D -5, 1. Reflect A, B, C, D, 1 in the x-axis, 2 in the y-axis. Alright, so first I'm going to draw the shape. So it's y, it's x. The coordinates were minus 2, 2, minus 2, 4, minus 4, 5, and minus 5, 1. So I have A, B, C, and D, and I have my shape. I'm going to draw the shape. A, B, C, D. Okay, that is the shape. We need to reflect the shape in the x-axis and in the y-axis. So let's do our work first. So we had A, which was minus 2, 2, B, which was minus 2, 4, C, which was minus 4, 5, and D, which was minus 5, 1. So the first reflection is going to be reflection in the x-axis. Reflection in the x-axis, I'm going to write the new coordinates when I reflect in the x-axis. So reflection in the x-axis, the rule was change sign of y-coordinate. So I'm going to take the y-coordinate and I'm going to change the sign. So x-coordinate, no change in sign, y-coordinate from positive to negative. So this is minus 2, minus 4. This is minus 4, minus 5. This is minus 5 and minus 1. And I go and plot. So it's minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 4, minus 4, minus 5, and minus 5, minus 1. That was A, that's B, that's C, that's D, and there I have my reflected shape. And that is a reflection in the x-axis. Alright? So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 was a reflection in the y-axis. So now the rule states that when I reflect a shape in the y-axis, I have to change the sign of the x-coordinate. So I'm going to change the sign of the x-coordinate. So it's going to be from negative to positive. Minus 2 becomes 2. So 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 5, and 5, 1. I go and plot. So it's 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 5, and 5, 1. There is my reflected shape. I'm going to draw the shape. I'm going to label A, B, C, D. And that was shape number 2. Okay, so as you have seen, it's very easy. This is very easy. Just remember those 2 rules and you can do your reflection very, very easily. That was the first lesson on transformations, the first lesson on reflections. We're going to have 2 other lessons on reflections. I hope you have understood. Have a nice day.